Okay, so this is part 3, and we can start beginning. We can begin the texturing. So we're going to we need to first UV unwrap this. So I'll go to UV edit. Then I can delete this. We don't need it. I'll also reposition this into the center. I also usually like working in with color on using this color random color generator, and also turn on cavity just to see where the edges are. So we can add a seam around there, and up here and down here. Control E, mark seam. Now if I unwrap, this is what we get. I think, let me just rotate this 90 degrees. So we have something like that. And yeah, let's start working on the materials. So we can go to shading here. I'm going to be using Blender Eevee, and the good thing is that the same settings, the same shaders you use in Eevee can be used in Cycles. So I guess I'll be also switching between Cycles and Eevee just to show you how they look in both renderers. Again, I need to bring back my reference image, so I'll change the outliner into the image editor and select that image, the reference image, back here, and so that we can see what we have. So you can find free textures from from Texture Heaven of tiles like this. You can also find free textures from cc0textures.com, PBR textures. To use, but I already have some textures from both of those sites, so I'll just find that and start using that. So let's see, textures. I have some tiles. Let me find textures. Okay. And I think you can also use Google to find textures, as long as you're not going to publish. If you're not too worried about copyright, you can also, there's also an option. Let me show you here. If you go to Google, there is an option that lets you select only view free to use textures. So if you go under tools here, you can see the usage rights here. You can select free label for non-commercial use. Any of these options can give you a license that you can use without crediting. Without, I think that doesn't require you to. I don't know, but that will let you use the textures without any copyright issues. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, you can check that out, and maybe if you're also just experimenting with the texturing, I think you can just use any textures there, as long as you're not going to publish them anywhere. And yeah, so let's find textures and see. So I have this texture here. Let me subdivide this so that I can easily preview the different textures that I want to use. So I have this texture, tile texture, and I think it kind of looks a bit similar like this, but you can see it's too big. So we're going to tile it on here. So let me create a new shader, and I will save this as a tiles. I can also bring in that image right here. Connect this to the base color. You can see that this is really big, so I need to add a mapping. So you can just hit Control T to bring up the mapping and texture coordinates. But for this to work, you need to have the Node Wrangler add-on enabled. Otherwise, this shortcut won't be able to work. So let's tell this by increasing the scale. So you can also drag on these numbers to select them and move them at once. So let's get the right scale. I think it's about here, but I also think we should scale these textures horizontally a bit more, so I can use this maybe in the X like that to have that. So what we're going to be doing is is blend different textures until we get a look that that is somehow similar like this. So I'll find dirty textures. Let me find a few dirty textures, and also let me see. Can we? Let me find dirty textures here. We're going to be merging them over, adding them on top of the different textures we have. I'll also find, let me see here if I have anything interesting. So another thing we can do, let's first turn on ambient occlusion and screen space reflections, so that we can see that ambient occlusion in and the reflections in. I also like to turn on lights, because right now I'm working in the look dev shade option here, but which switches off light, so you can preview the textures and the materials without any lights affecting those objects here. But if you want this light to affect the objects, you just go under shading and turn on scene lights, and you can see now your light is also affecting the objects. That you can also go to render mode and look at that. But the problem with this is that by default there is no HDRI image in the background, so you need to set up your own. So you can just go under world, then in the color node select environment, and then open up the HDR image you want to use. I'll just select this here, which is actually the same image that comes with Blender. I think it's the same image that you see here. So, and I think they got that from Texture Heaven, because that's where I got this image. I don't know is it the same? Yeah, I think it's the same, because you can see the water and this building there. They're the same here. So yeah. Okay, so let's see what else to add on. So I have, let me see, we have more, I need more that material, and we can see how we're going to merge them with that. So let's find a few textures here that we can use. I think this is a good texture to use for this algae that is flowing down. So I need to find that grunge texture, to use it as a mask for this and this. So I'm looking for some good textures here, and on my second screen that we can use and mix them there. So I have this here. I've also got this, and let me find something else. I want to find something that shows this water damage or water dripping down here, that we can use as a mask. Let me find water texture. Water. Water damage texture. Okay, this would be good. Okay, let me show you how to mix these two, and then I'll set the textures after this tutorial is done. So to mix textures, say we have this here, and we have let me get this image here. We can use this as a mask to add this algae here. So let me first bring back the reference image. So we can use this here, as a mask for this green algae. And the way I'm previewing this is just you hold Ctrl Shift and then click on the node you want to preview. This will work only if you have the Node Wrangler add-on enabled. I guess I should show you how to add that. To enable that, you just go under Edit, Preferences. This should take a few seconds to load, and then Add-ons, and you can search Wrangler, Node Wrangler. It's this, and you can enable that to have these shortcuts enabled. So Ctrl Shift, and then click on the image you want to texture you want to preview in your workspace. So let's use this as a mask for this algae to blend it with these tiles. And the way we do that is that we need a color mix RGB, and this takes in 2 texture nodes or 2 color nodes. So you can have this image and this, and then connect them together like this. So you can see we're already seeing that this image is blending in this using this, and we can mix how much the blend is by using this slider, factor slider. So 0%, so 0 here would only show the bottom material, sorry, the top material, and then 1 will show the bottom material, which is our mouse texture. So you can also use an alpha image, a black and white mask. Say, let's get this here. You can see how this looks. You can use this as a mask. Let me first preview this node. You can use this as the mask to blend between these 2 textures. You can see now that where black pixels are, we are seeing this mouse image, and then where the white parts are, we are seeing this other image, and that's what we want to use. But we don't want to mix. We want to use this image as the mask, so that we can get these water damage drips here. So, but we need a black and white image for this to work best, to have better control here, or more contrast here. So we need to convert this image into a black and white image, and the easiest way to do that is by using a color node, a color ramp. So Shift A, convert color ramp, and if you preview this, you can see now we have this black and white image, and you can control the contrast of this image using these nodes. So now that we have this black and white mask, we know that the black areas will show the mouse, and then the white areas we can have the tiles. So let's see how that would look in this preview editor. So we need this to be our mask like that. You can see this mouse here should be in the top area to have something like this, but because we haven't fed any color in this node, it's just using this node is just using the color we have here as the texture for that part, but we want the tiles to go in that area. So the problem is that this is too much compared to what we have here, and we can control this amount using this slider. So the more contrast you have in your mask, the more we will chop out this texture, and we can get something like this. So then we need to feed this into the base color, and now we can preview the material setup and see this is what we have. So I'll save for now, and maybe save this as project 1. So if you just want to examine where we are, right now you can just download that project and look at the node setup that we have so far. And let me stop this here.